Hello and welcome back to Hestia's Muse, podcast for astrological devotionals. My name is Liliana Blackstar, and I am here to bring you a spiritual devotional of self-discovery and personal growth that is in some way inspired by astrology. Join me to tune into astrological transits and the Wheel of the Year for inspiration in your greatest task in life, to know yourself. Welcome back. I hope everyone is doing well. It's great that you are here. If you are coming back and have listened before, thank you so much for listening to my podcast and for following me on my social media. I really appreciate it. And if it is your first time here, well, what I've been doing lately with my podcast has been to talk about tarot cards and their relation to astrology. So I've been doing these little tarot astrology devotionals, and we are now at the Two of Swords. So each of the tarot cards are in some way associated with an astrological sign, a decan, a season, or a planet. The Two of Swords is associated with the First Decan of Libra. The decans are subdivisions of signs, so each sign is divided into three parts, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And for the sign of Libra, we are talking about the very first decan from 0 degrees through the end of the 9th degree of Libra. So this year the sun has been traveling through this decan of Libra from September 23rd with the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere, and it will be in this decan until October 2nd. And this tarot card can be relevant at any time of year. It's just the reason that we've chose to talk about it now is because the sun is in that decan. So each sign is ruled by a planet, and then each decan is also ruled by a planet. You can think of this as a sub-ruler or a shift manager. So the entire sign of Libra is ruled by Venus, but the first 10 degrees of Libra are also sub-ruled by the moon. So you can think of this period of the Libra season, or this section of Libra in the zodiac, to be very lunar in nature. Overall, when any planet is moving through the first decan of Libra, it is going to be picking up some lunar energy and doing some lunar things, because this is ruled by Venus, but also sub-ruled by the moon. So the Two of Swords card is associated with that first decan of Libra. So you could also interpret the Two of Swords card as having a strong lunar influence, or to represent the moon in Libra. The moon does not have to be in Libra for this card to be relevant, but it can help you to think of the moon as influencing that section of the zodiac and as influencing the lessons and meaning of this card. So this card should be interpreted by blending the archetypes of Libra and the moon. So let's take a look. The Two of Swords in a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith-based tarot deck usually shows a single figure who is blindfolded and holding two swords. The two swords are usually crossed in front of the person, so they create like an X, and usually the imagery has a body of water behind the person and a crescent moon in the sky. The person is not in movement. They are sitting still. They seem to be meditative or contemplative. They are blindfolded. They are not looking at anything, but appear to be listening, meditating, or just deciding what to do next. So some key words and concepts associated with the Two of Swords are balance, choice, crossroads, compromise, decision, inner turmoil or inner conflict, impasse, indecision, intuition, mediation, mental block, pause, paralysis, as in decision paralysis, stalemate, or stillness. The Two of Swords in tarot embodies this very poignant theme of indecision and a temporary state of suspended action. We are not taking action at this time. We are waiting or trying to decide. The blindfold suggests a deliberate choice to block external influences. This person is not bound and tied up and being forced to wear a blindfold. Their hands are free. They are choosing to hold the swords in their hand. They have probably blindfolded themselves. And the reason that someone would probably blindfold themselves is because they want to block out external influences to heighten their reliance on their intuition or their other senses, or force themselves for a period of internal reflection. The crossed swords symbolize opposing forces or choices that require resolution. The number 2 in tarot often represents a choice that needs to be made, or that there's more than one thing going on and you have to decide to make a choice between these two options. And the swords generally represent the suit of air, which is related to your thoughts, your mental state, your intellect, and your words or communication. So there is a choice, and it is an intellectual choice. The Two of Swords advises a period of thoughtful contemplation, encouraging the seeker to temporarily withdraw from external pressures to gain clarity within. So while it signifies a momentary impasse, there is the promise of a balanced and informed decision later, once the blindfold is lifted or once the choice has been made. It's not a sense of a permanent impasse, like this is the end of the road, you can go no farther, as much as the choice is not clear right now. You need to pause, listen, and reflect in order to clearly know what choice you need to make next in order to move forward. So let's talk for a minute about the moon in Libra. So we're just talking about how the archetype of the moon in Libra is relating to this card. So first of all, when the moon transits through Libra, the emotional landscape for everyone takes on the qualities associated with the sign of Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, and Libra is concerned with harmony and cooperation. So this is a social energy, because Libra is an air sign, and the air signs are very social. Being ruled by Venus, it wants beauty and ease and good feelings. Like Venus always wants those good vibes, right? So there is a desire for balance, fairness, and pleasure in your social interactions and relationships with other people. So when the moon is in Libra, people may find themselves more inclined towards diplomacy and seeking harmony in their relationships. It's a great time for going on dates. It's a great time for enjoying some beautiful art and music, because the Libra moon brings a heightened sense of appreciation for beauty and art, and it just wants all of its social interactions to be beautiful and pleasant. However, there might be a tendency to avoid confrontations as Libra seeks to maintain peace and wants to avoid anything that disrupts the peace. So it's a time when emotional well-being is often like the priority, and people like the Libra moon might make you just not want to deal with anything that is a problem or dramatic, right? So just connecting the energy of the moon in Libra with the Two of Swords energy. So again, going back to the imagery of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot card, we see that crescent moon in the sky behind the blindfolded figure who is holding the swords. And additionally, there's that large body of water behind them, connecting this card very directly to the moon and intuition and emotional states. So the archetype of Libra is concerned with reaching a state of harmony and cooperation in relationships. As an air sign, Libra functions primarily through thoughts, ideas, words, and communication. The suit of swords shows us how our mind and ideas and words can easily create conflict or strife. There's a reason that swords represent the mind, our thoughts, and our words, because these are easily weaponized, right? They can very well defend us. We can defend our position with our words. We can create our reality with our thoughts. So it's protective, but it's also very easily weaponized. So our mind, our ideas, and our words can easily create conflict or strife. And we all know how easily words can cause pain or disrupt harmony. And that is actually the opposite of what Libra wants. And it's the opposite of what Venus wants. But sometimes it's not easy to see what the right words are. It's not always obvious what the right choice is that's going to create harmony in that relationship. And a lot of times, like, we don't even really intend to create conflict because we just said something or interpreted something a certain way and we were wrong and we made a mistake, and now there's hurt feelings. We didn't necessarily intend for it to be that way, but it happens because that's just the nature of our words and our thoughts. We misunderstand things very easily, and we very easily are misunderstood. So the First Decan of Libra, being ruled by the moon, offers this recognition that although Libra is an intellectual air sign, we need to bring intuition and feeling into the picture. Intuition and emotion are important when harmony and cooperation and relationship are the ultimate goal. So if the ultimate goal of Libra is to have harmonious relationships, then we can't do that with just our intellect alone. We have to remember to tune into our intuition and our feelings and our compassion and empathy. And all of those are lunar things, right? And they are Venus things too. So this card really speaks to us of those moments in time when we could rush forward into conflict if all that we wanted was to win or to be proven right, and if we did not care about preserving the relationship beyond this moment. But this card reveals the moment in time when we have a choice and we do wish to maintain and continue the relationship beyond the conflict or disagreement. So we must make a choice to be still and listen and not rush forward with action or with our thoughts and words running away with us. We have to make a choice to sit still and be like, wait a second, okay, I might be misunderstanding this situation. If I speak right now, I might say the right thing. So I need to stop and wait and listen. We might have to tune into our gut feeling or our intuition or our spiritual wisdom before we really know what to do. We need to take the time to tune into our empathy, to tune into our intuition, to tune into something beyond the intellect in order to know the right thing to say in this situation or the right way to interpret mentally this situation. So the answer to this situation is not externally found through seeking logic or problem solving or by taking immediate action. And so we have to stop and put the blindfold on and force ourselves to stop overthinking and check in with how we feel. Check in with what our body is telling us. Check in with our breath. Check in with what our empathy and our intuition and our spirit is telling us. So this is that moment when we are, wait a second, this is not going harmoniously. Like this is heading straight into a conflict, and I don't actually want to have a conflict, so I'm going to pause, slow down, and listen. And this could be a conflict with other people, often because it's Libra energy, and Libra is that social relationship energy, but it can also be a conflict within yourself. Sometimes you just don't know what to do because you don't know what you want. You don't really know what you want the outcome to be or what your true desires are. And this is that moment where you have to pause and listen and check in with yourself. What do you really want to happen next? What do you really want? What do you desire? Tuning into your feelings and your desires. There's that Venus word, desires, right? We got to check in with what we really want. And then the harmony and cooperation side is we also have to tune into what other people around us want. Because if we're only paying attention to what we want, we are likely going to step on someone's toes or hurt someone's feelings. And that's what we're trying to avoid in this situation. When this card comes up, it's like, okay, hold on, wait, slow down, because someone's going to get hurt if we don't pause and think this through. So the symbol of Libra is the scales, and this card speaks of a need for balance or a need for diplomacy and compromise. Very often in life, in order to find balance, we need to stop, rest, and listen. Whether this is listening to the other people around us or listening to our own inner self and our intuition will depend on the situation, but there's a sense of crossroads here. There's an impasse or a stalemate where we must pause, rest, and listen. We possibly intuitively know the solution or the next step, but we cannot plainly see that solution until we stop and pause and listen on a more emotional or intuitive level. It's not an intellectual knowing, it's an emotional knowing. So the moon also teaches us about balance through its own cycles and phases. The moon has duality. It is sometimes waxing, where I feel like it's a more projective energy, and it's sometimes waning, where it's a more receptive energy. The moon is sometimes full, It's illuminating the night sky with brightness, and it's sometimes dark, where it's following the sun across the daytime sky and denying us its nighttime light and presence. So while the air signs are generally projective and active, because our minds are very active things, there are times when our mind must become passive and receptive, like when we dream, when we listen, or when we meditate. So often we are just full of these thoughts and we're thinking about what we're going to say next. And when you're thinking about what you're going to say, you're not listening fully and deeply to what the other person is saying. So this is the importance of mindfulness, of taking time to calm the mind and steady the mind to where we are in a more receptive state, to where we are opening our mind up to receive information from our senses, from our emotions, and from the world around us. And then we learn balance of the mind, because we're not just thinking of what we're going to do or what we're going to say, and we're not just in problem-solving mode, but we are practicing being quiet and still enough to be open to receive information from the world around us. So if you have reached a problem that you can't solve, or if you have reached a point of decision paralysis where you just don't know what to do next, you're having this Two of Swords moment, and the Two of Swords is reminding you that sometimes doing nothing is the thing that you need to do. Sometimes you just need to pause, rest, listen, and wait. Sometimes the action that you need to take is to meditate and feel your feelings. And sometimes the action you need to take is to really listen to the feelings and needs of people around you. You have to be able to find your center and your sense of inner balance again before you can move forward. If you try to move forward and you are not balanced, you're going to fall over. The solution or compromise or the next step that you need to take will probably become obvious and easy to see once you take time to wait and listen and feel. So some devotional questions that you might want to ask yourself whenever the moon is in Libra, or whenever you're having a Two of Swords moment, which can be any time. And you ask yourself, where in your life are you feeling paralyzed or unable to make a choice to move forward? Like, identify it. And then sit with it. Ask yourself, where in your life have you been stubborn? And are you able to consider a compromise or to let go of your need to be right in order to create greater harmony and peace? Can you let go of the need to solve the problem your way and just allow the problem to show you how it wants to be solved? And then finally, ask yourself, what kind of meditation or mindfulness practice do you have? Can it be improved? Can you increase the time that you are spending with your breath, your feelings, your body, and your thoughts? There's an affirmation I came up with that could be used for this card or for this time of Libra moon. My decisions are guided by fairness and a desire for peaceful connections. I navigate relationships with grace, appreciating the beauty in others and fostering a sense of balance in my life. All right, so I do have a little eclipse alert for you guys coming up in October. we are going to have a new moon in Libra that is also a solar eclipse. With the moon in Libra for that new moon, this card and the lessons of this card will be very relevant with that lunation, with that eclipse. So eclipses amplify everything. It's going to be a solar eclipse that I believe will be visible across parts of the United States. Check in on your favorite eclipse info website to find out exactly what time it might be visible in your area, if it's visible in your area. But it is, just because the moon is in Libra, it's got this Two of Swords energy to it. So you might want to consider all the things that I spoke about when that solar eclipse new moon is happening, or when you're getting ready for it to happen, because it might be in some way relevant. So the moon will conjunct the sun actually in the third decan of Libra, so it won't exactly be in the first decan of Libra, but the Two of Swords relates to the moon in Libra in any decan. So this is just one of the cards that could be symbolic for the energy of that eclipse, and the other one might be the Four of Swords, which is the card for the third decan of Libra, where the sun and the moon will both be during the eclipse. So the Two of Swords is relevant, but the Four of Swords might be relevant too, and we're going to talk about that card also on my blog and on the podcast coming up. But I don't know if I'll have the recording out before the eclipse or not, so you might want to look into that Four of Swords card yourself. But it's also a card about rest. So resting is very amplified in two different tarot cards that are symbolic for this eclipse. So just thinking ahead, you might want to try to see if you can plan some extra rest for yourself on that day, or at least set aside some time where you don't have to do anything and you can rest and listen to spirit and tune into your intuition and just be. Because this card and the Four of Swords card are very much about just being, just resting and allowing yourself to just exist without having to do anything or solve any problem. The solution comes to you through the moment of rest and silence, not through the striving to solve the problem. All right. Well, thank you so much again for listening and for tuning in with me. Those of you who keep coming back, I appreciate it. Please subscribe to my podcast on Spotify if that's where you're finding me. You can also find the podcast on my website, www.hestiasmuse.net, which is also where you can contact me or find information about signing up for a personal astrology reading with me or other stuff that I have going on. And then the Patreon is a great way to support me and also have access to my blog posts through the Patreon, and that is www.patreon.com/HestiasMuse. And you can look for Hestia's Muse on social media. Find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram. Sometimes I post stuff on YouTube, but I haven't really found my way into that realm yet. But we're working on it. We'll see. All right. Thank you so much for being here and have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.